In 1986, Ed Bacome and Phil Fankhauser came together, formed a partnership, and developed Epcon Communities. And it's their great partnership that has brought the company to where it is today. They each bring a different set of talents and a different set of experiences to the company. And I think you're going to learn a lot about Ed when you hear his message.
Hello, I'm Ed Bacome, and I'd like to thank you for taking a few moments of your time to learn a little more about Epcon Communities. I am one of the fortunate founding members of Epcon Communities. And I say fortunate because 32 years ago, when Phil and I started working together, I couldn't have picked a better partner. So I'm blessed to do that. Looking back to 1986, when Phil and I first decided to work together, we thought we had a good concept, but we couldn't have imagined or dreamed what it would turn out to be. And we're thankful for that. I would guess maybe our parents would have had a lot of confidence, but a lot of people around us would probably say, what are these guys about to do? But we've been so lucky in all of these years, and we love what we're doing. People, I guess because it's been 32 years, will occasionally ask each of us, how much longer are you going to do this? And we say, we don't have any measuring period. Why would we stop now when we know more than we've ever known about our business? We've got a great group of people around us, and the market is great, and we love what we're doing. I'd like to share with you just a little bit of my background, because I think the background has made me and also our company what it is today. I grew up on a farm, and that was probably my first employment. I guess I would have to call it de facto employment. I didn't receive a paycheck, but I got room and board. And from the time I was 10 or 12 years old, we were called every morning at 5:30, and I think what that instilled in me is a great work ethic. From there, I graduated from high school, and thank goodness Ohio State University had a branch campus. And that was evening classes that went from 5 until 10 o'clock at night. And so I worked and did construction work during the day, went to the model home, changed my clothes, and went to class from 5 to 10, got up the next morning and repeated the same thing. Moved to the main campus to finish up undergraduate school, which was ag school, and then was fortunate enough to be admitted to Ohio State University Law School. But I worked almost all of that time and enjoyed everything I did, but particularly two things. The construction industry that I spent time with in the summertime, and then my part-time job throughout the year was working for a high-end restaurant, Stouffer's University Inn. And I would say that those earlier work experiences have really formed a part of me, my DNA, and again, what Epcon Communities really is. The farming experience, as I said earlier, I think instilled a great work ethic, and that's been carried forward into our company. The construction work, the first job that I had was first 17 years old, was for a masonry contractor, and that was really the beginning of my interest in doing what we do today. And I showed up on the job site, knew something about construction because growing up on the farm, but I was to be a tile setter apprentice, and the first day I showed up, they were cutting streets in. And so I was given a shovel and learned how to dig footers and scatter stone and mix mortar, and gave me the beginning of understanding construction. And I would tell you an experience that I had there beyond the everyday work that we did sort of affected how I look at people that work for our company. And the experience wasn't a particularly pleasant one, but there was a day where the president showed up on the job, and the superintendent, whose name was Alex, and we made eye contact, and I said hello, and they looked at me like I offended them. So I've never forgotten that. I think the key is to remember that every employee that works for you is important, and no matter what their job is, you should treat them with respect because they are important to you. And when you can, remember names, engage in conversation with them. And so that's one job that I had that form part of why I try to treat people the way I do today. The job as working at Stouffer's University Inn, I was a bartender, but it was a high-end restaurant, and what I learned there was they had a recipe, like we have a recipe, particularly with our franchisees. And they expected every one of us to follow their recipe, whether you worked in the kitchen or behind the bar. Every recipe, every drink, every food entree that came out of the kitchen was made in an exact way. Many companies like Epcon Communities have similarities. We build in Columbus, Ohio, and other cities, Raleigh and Charlotte, residential construction. But I think more importantly are the things that set us apart. A lot of our competition, especially in Charlotte and Raleigh, are public companies. There's always pressure on public companies not only to be profitable, not only to maintain that profitability, but to grow every year. And while the shareholders demand that, in our company, Phil and I are only accountable really to ourselves and the lenders that are good enough to loan money to us and the employees that are associates that we hire. And so it's a close circle. And one of the huge benefits of that, I believe, is that if you are required to grow every year, that means in your site selection that from time to time you're accepting and picking a site that's less than optimum. We don't have to worry about that. We have a business model, we have a plan that we try to follow, and currently that would be about 200 closings in Columbus, and about 200 in Raleigh, and about 200 in Charlotte. We of course want to maintain that, and we want some conservative growth. But if we come to a year where we have something less than that, if we keep our eye on only picking the very, very best sites, we're not going to have losers. Because it only takes one bad site to erode the profitability of one or two other sites. So I think that is one really important factor that sets us apart from particularly the public companies or other companies that might have outside shareholders, and that's a big benefit. Another thing that sets us apart, I think, is we think of everybody here as part of a family. And it's almost true in every case that when I have the first opportunity to meet somebody who's finally joined us as an associate, they will hearken back to as soon as they walk in the door, they have this great feeling that they're in a company and an environment that is more family friendly. And so that's another advantage that we really think is important and we're happy to have. Our vision as we go forward in the next several years, 10 years, longer than 10 years, is first and foremost to continue to be an industry leader. You hear the term staying ahead of the curve. In what we do, I say we created the curve. And so being an industry leader, which we have been for 32 years, is very high on our priority list if we're going to continue to succeed. A lot of companies come and go. And except for the very deep recession that we had for about 6 years, we've had a good long-term success story, and our vision would be to continue that. Another really important thing that we're going to continue to do is be very selective in the people that we hire. Most companies of any size have a human resource department, and a lot of the hiring is sort of limited by the people selected in that human resource department. Our department plays a very important role, but in addition to that, most of the positions that we hire people for here at Epcon Communities, the candidate meets with multiple people, and many voices are heard in the selection process, so we do our very, very best at hiring the best people, and so to continue that would be another vision, very important thing to do. Another advantage, I think, in working for Epcon Communities I would say would be growth opportunities in several respects. if we hire you and you're happy with us and we're happy with you, but we decide or you decide that the fit isn't exact, or you see another department that you may want to work in, we're always open to doing that. We have a lady who came to us within the last year. She started in contract administration, and a little time passed and she saw an opportunity to work in another area in warranty. So we sat down, talked to her, and even though she's part-time, we offered her that ability to change. We have many people who have been with us a long time. I can think of Erin Barrett. She's been with us almost 15 years. I don't know that she could really believe that, but she has. Jeremy Kirk started with us as a laborer, was with us for a few years. He was promoted to doing punch-out work. A little later, as he continued to progress, he became an assistant superintendent, and today he's a project manager and one of our best. Joel Rhodes came to us as a law student, part-time summer job. After his graduation, he decided he wanted to work for us. We liked him, he liked us. He began doing work, learning every day, every week, important things, but drafting contracts. Contracts for our subcontractors for all the sites. Then started doing a little more work for us in our real estate purchase agreements. And before long, he was going with Phil to zoning meetings. And in a few years, Phil backed off and Joel became our main and is today zoning attorney. So he's grown and grown. And this past August, we recognized 25 years of service and promoted him in October to Vice President of Operations for the Columbus region. And then more recently, we looked at all of our VPs of operations and elevated them within the last few days to President of the region. So there's great opportunity here. Another area of opportunity would be you've been with us in Columbus and you've done a good job and you want to stay with us, but for some reason you decide you may want to move to Raleigh or the greater Raleigh area, or maybe to Charlotte. We're always open to that. And we've had examples of people who have moved from Columbus to those other locations. People in sales and marketing. Amy would be an example in Charlotte. Tom Hoop, for a period of time, who's been with us several years, spent some time in Charlotte. So there's all kinds of opportunities here. And that's why we have some people who have been with us approaching 30 years, many in the 20-year range, many in the 15-year range. We have over 30 people that have been with us more than 5 years. Not very many people who come to work here decide to leave unless some special circumstance occurs in their life. So I think it's good for the associates and it's good for Epcon Communities.